Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. We are exactly 2 months away from kicking off football season. Cannot wait, man. Cannot wait. And look, the kind of direction of the channel is going to change as we get closer to the fall. We're going to continue to cover recruiting. Got a big week coming up in recruiting. Got commitments from guys like Christian Conyer, obviously Francis Mauigo. We're going to be going live on the channel 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on July the 4th to cover his commitment live on air. Make sure you tune in for that. We've also got Jonathan Eccles coming up, Cam Seldon, Jalen Smith, and we're going to continue to keep you guys up to date on recruiting, but the focus is going to shift to the fall in this football team in the 2022 season. I think what I'm going to do is kind of do a first glance and look at each opponent because recruiting is going to kind of slow down after we get through the next couple of weeks. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. We're going to take a look at an article over at ESPN.com. Chris Lowe sat down with Josh Heupel. A lot of good information. We're going to take a look at that. The video may go a little bit longer than usual, but there is a lot of good stuff in that article I want to get into. But as always, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. It helps the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We are fans just like you. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Like I said earlier, going to be going live on the 4th of July to cover Francis Mauigo's commitment. Going to do a couple of live streams in the month of July, kind of breaking down the offense and defense in 2 different live streams. Myself, Dauber, JP, hopefully Snake get together for that. So make sure you're subscribed and that bell is rung so you don't miss out. Let's get into the article from ESPN.com. Again, this is from Chris Lowe. How Tennessee football coach Josh Heupel plans to keep the buzz building. And this is something we've kind of been talking about. Again, this channel is for the fans, by the fans. We're not experts. We are emotional fans, fanatics, just like you guys. So when there's highs in recruiting, when we get excited. When there's lows in recruiting, we ask questions and we get concerned. It's just the story of being a football fan. But there has been a buzz on Rocky Top, and I like this article because it talks a lot about what Josh Heupel is going to do to keep that buzz going, keep that momentum going. And, you know, I talked yesterday about Josh Heupel needs to win, and he needs to win now. And some people get mad when I say that. They say you can't put expectations on him. Yes, I can. Yes, we can. We are football fans. Josh Heupel and this football program need to continue to move forward. So let's take a look at a couple of questions here right out of the gate. Chris Lowe says, not a lot of people in the SEC knew what to expect from you or the team last season, but now they do. How equipped is this team to handle the different expectations this season? Again, we can put expectations on Josh Heupel. He's already got them on himself. It is what it is. It's the SEC. Welcome to the big leagues. Heupel's response here, I think one of the great things about us a year ago, and a big part of the reason players bought in, is that we never put a ceiling on what we could or couldn't do. There are no excuses last year or this year. We're at Tennessee. The guys that came here to play and the guys that came here to coach came to win and came to win championships. That goes back to the quote from Coach Garner. I didn't come here to win 7 games. I came here to win championships. Says our football team is one that expects to win. They do that because of the way they've worked up until this point. There's still a lot of work left to be done, but from our support staff to our players to our coaches, we're confident that we've done what it takes to take another step. Now you've got to go out and earn it every Saturday, but we're excited to go do that. Again, I like it. He says there are no excuses last year or this year. That's one thing that I love about Josh Heupel. He came in from day one and never made an excuse. There was none of this Butch Jones crap of year 0, and there was none of this Jeremy Pruitt crap of the players we have here aren't good enough. They're not good enough. We're going to go recruit better players. Josh Heupel came in. He loved these kids on his team. He supported these kids on his team, and he went out and he took care of business, and he did more than anybody in the country expected him to do. But now you've got to continue to build on that. You've got to continue to take that next step and continue to grow. And that's what I love about Josh Heupel. No excuses. Just go to work. The next question here from Chris Lowe says, former Tennessee athletic director Doug Dickey used to say that a coach at Tennessee will always be measured by how he fares against Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. Going back to the start of the 2008 season, this is painful. I don't even want to read this. Going back to the 2008 season, Coach Fulmer's final season, Tennessee is just 4-38. 4-38 against those rivals. How much closer do you think you are to beating those teams and what it's going to take to close the gap? That's one of the number one questions that gets asked on this channel is when is this football team going to be able to beat Alabama? Go watch the video from yesterday. 3-star U. 3-star U. What is it going to take? Talked a lot about that in that video. Make sure you go back and check it out. Heupel's response, we're in a race to get there, to become our best as fast as we can. Inherently, those 3 programs are big measuring sticks for us, but every game is. A year ago, our margins for error were really small. We're going to continue to recruit, continue to develop. That's a key word, develop, and increase those margins. Find a way to come out on the right side of it. We determine where we're at in the fall by how we go about our business every single day. Believe in what we're doing. At the end of the day, this program is going to be built on chasing championships and winning those games, and I believe we'll get there soon. So really not a lot there. Not a lot to unpack there. You just got to keep putting in the work. You got to keep putting in the work. And bringing in Nico and continuing to stack recruiting classes is the first step. And like I talked about yesterday, you can't just go cherry pick a 5-star. You got to put in the work. You got to show progress. That's why this season is so important. That's why this season is so crucial. That's why you can put expectations on Josh Heupel. Now, does that mean if he goes out and wins 5 games, I'm going to be screaming to fire Josh Heupel? No, that's not the case. But in order to keep moving forward, in order to keep building recruiting classes, you have to win on the field. Chris Lowe goes on to talk about the recruiting momentum here. Says Tennessee ranked 13th nationally and 3rd in the SEC in ESPN's latest rankings. How confident are you that you're beating the teams on the recruiting trail that you've got to beat on the field? Heupel says you got to win your fair share of those battles, and we're getting the right kids on campus. As we go through the rest of this recruiting cycle, we're going to have to close and win on some of those battles too, but there's a lot of positivity, a lot of momentum in what we're doing, the experiences that our guys are having and our recruits are having when they're on campus. This university city, the passion of our fan base is second to none. We're fighting the good fights, man. We've got to win some of these here down the stretch, but I think we're in a good position, and I think that starts on July the 4th. Starts on July the 4th with Francis Mauigoa. That's gonna set the stage. That's gonna let this fan base know that we are serious, because you got Nico in the boat, but all of a sudden people forgot. Right? They just forget about Nico. They move on to the next. They want to talk more about Carnell Tate choosing Ohio State than they want to talk about Nico choosing Tennessee. And it starts with the quarterback position. I know you've got to have guys at the line of scrimmage. I know you got to have defense. But if you don't have an elite level quarterback, you got nothing. And we've seen that in previous years on this football team. But you got Nico in the boat. Look what Hendon Hooker did for this football team last year. Look what he did for this football team last year. But to continue that momentum on recruiting, I think it starts with Francis Mauigoa. Also, July the 4th, Jonathan Eccles, one of the top 5 players in the class of 24. And I know that's a long way away. And you've got a lot of work to do to keep him in the boat, keep him committed to Tennessee. But that's a huge jump into that class of 24. And then Cam Seldon, who's talking about making a decision on July the 7th. We'll see if he sticks with that. But that's another big piece to the class of 22. It goes on to talk about NIL collectives here, talking about linked to Tennessee's athletic department reportedly have been excessively aggressive in the world of NIL. What's your stance on NIL and players' ability to earn money? I love this response. I love this response from Coach Heupel, not only for NIL, but also as a coach, a guy that's been there, a guy that's done that. He says, for me, it's simple. He says, I go back to my playing days. I look at what I was doing for the university I played for. Heisman Trophy runner-up at Oklahoma in 2000, the logo I played for. And at the same time, I feel like I had created a brand too, and I would have liked to have been afforded the opportunity to take advantage of those things. I think that's why student athletes today, like freshmen coming to campus, the positive of it is kids are very aware of what they're doing and what's out on social media, and that there's a maturity they have to operate with. But this is the game now. It's not going away. We better embrace it. And from my playing days, I understand the positive side of it. So you've got coaches like Nick Saban out there complaining about NIL. You've got Jimbo Fisher complaining about it, saying that they didn't pay a single player. But then just recently, we see a recruiter out there with the kids on the field telling them that the guys up in the suites are going to be paying them a lot of money. But, we don't pay players, but we just talk about paying players when we bring them on campus. But I love that Josh Heupel can relate to these kids because he's been there. He's done that. He didn't just play the game. He played the game at an elite level, and he relates to these kids. And that's something that Nico's dad has talked about with Nico committing to Tennessee, that it's not just about NIL. It's not just about playing for the Power T. It's also about Josh Heupel being able to relate to an elite level quarterback when something goes wrong on the field. The work that he puts in every day. Josh Heupel can relate to these kids. He understands it. And like I said, I think that is a huge advantage for Tennessee. Goes on to talk about inducement here. He doesn't really say much there. We'll skip the inducement part of it. He says, compared with the other schools you're recruiting against, how well positioned is Tennessee to capitalize in the world of NIL? He goes on to talk about, Knoxville being a great city, a college town, talks about the businesses that are in town. But let's move into this upcoming season, 2022. He says you have Hendon Hooker returning at quarterback, one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the country a year ago, 31 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions. How much more will you be able to do on offense, and how much faster will you be able to play with Hooker back? The response from Josh Heupel, I think we have a chance to be more efficient on offense just in the normal function of snap to whistle and execution too. But what's different is Hendon, his comfort inside our building, his being a year into our system, and he is the guy. Everybody knows he's the guy, and that's really the first time it's really been that way for him during his career. It's helped him gain confidence and helped him use his voice in a different way than he did a year ago. He's in command of his position group. He's in command of the offense. He's in command of this football team. His presence is felt in a completely different way than it was a year ago. And just rewind a year ago and the mess of a quarterback competition that Tennessee found themselves in. The miss on Joe Milton. The love fest for Harrison Bailey. Meanwhile, Hendon Hooker sat quietly in the back of the room, worked himself into his starting spot, and the offense exploded from there. And one of the things I see a lot of people talk about is year 2. Josh Heupel, year 2 offense. Everybody's going to have it figured out. No, that's not the way I see it. I see Hendon Hooker with a full year in the system. Hendon Hooker with another year under his belt. Hendon Hooker looks to have that Heisman Trophy campaign in 2022. I don't care if you agree or disagree. That's what this university needs to be doing, is selling Hendon Hooker as a Heisman Trophy candidate. Everybody has another year in this system. Everybody should take a step. Cedric Tillman should take another step. Brew McCoy, how good can he be? How much can Brew McCoy help Cedric Tillman? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. He's just got one fall camp. Can he put it together in one fall camp and come out and start opposite of Cedric Tillman and open him up for a big year? Jalen Hyatt, I'm so excited. I may be more excited about Jalen Hyatt than I am anybody else on this football team. He put in the work in the weight room. He put in the work off the field. And now he's ready to go out and ball out and show people what he can truly do in the SEC. Chris Lowe asks here, from your perspective as a former quarterback, what about Hooker stands out to you? Heupel says his competitiveness and the physical way that his competitiveness comes out by game day. All the quarterbacks have to be competitive, but for him, it's the way he plays the game. People know he's going to lay everything on the line on every play, and they know how he prepares. Every day you're going to see him in our building early, leaving late, always trying to find a way to get better. I think that extra work and the positive communication that he has with his teammates, the way that he leads, has transcended our team room and locker room. You're starting to see those attributes in more guys in more positions too. What you love about Hendon Hooker also scares you about Hendon Hooker, because we are one injury away from a disaster of a season. Hendon Hooker, I think they've got to do a good job getting him involved in the run game, but he's got to learn to get down. He's got to protect himself. He's got to realize that he means so much to this football team. So again, his desire to go out and compete on every single play and lay it all on the line. We saw him do it multiple times. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy if this team's going to have success. Says here, what did you or your team learn from the close losses last season, particularly to Pitt and Ole Miss? Heupel says, I think last year we probably started off as a team that hoped to win. That's the culture change. That's what Josh Heupel was facing coming in. Building these guys back up, making them believe in themselves. He said we hoped to win. And then we grew into a team that believed that we could win. I think they gained confidence in some of those close losses. I think one of those unique things for our football team is in the world of those setbacks, we were able to pinpoint specific things that we could control. We got to get better throughout the course of the season, and we're going to need to do that again this year. I think we'll be a more confident football team from the outset because we're doing all the right things to put ourselves in a positive position. This is the last question we're going to wrap up with, talking about The defense, because that's a huge concern. The defense. He says, where are you most encouraged and most concerned about your defense? They ranked 122nd nationally in passing defense, 101st in third down defense last year. Heupel says creating tackles for loss, creating negative plays, did a good job of that. We weren't good on third down, particularly third and long. That's so big. You know, when we talk about this defense getting better, you gotta defense wins championships. That's so outdated. And you can point out Georgia. I know that's what you're gonna do, but overall, that's outdated. Offense, it's the new thing. It's what you gotta have. You gotta have a quarterback first of all, and you've got to have an offense that scores points. Defense, you just got to be good enough. And when you look at last year, like Coach Heupel just said there, we're not good on third and long. Just get off the field on third down. Give this offense a few more opportunities, and some of those close games suddenly become wins, and we're having a completely different conversation right now. Says we've got to be better than that. Starts getting a pass rush. I feel like the guys that have come back have made some strides. It was a big emphasis in spring ball. We've got to get better knowing our pressure packages of keeping quarterbacks inside the pocket, not letting them out. We got hurt with that multiple times last season. We've added some guys that give us a chance to be a little different off the edges. That tells me that a guy like James Pierce is going to find himself in the rotation, and he's going to be there early. So can he make a difference? Does BY make a difference? I think that it all starts with the pass rush on defense and getting off the field on third down, getting pressure on the quarterback, but like Heupel just said there, keeping him in the pocket, keeping him contained, get off the field, give this offense a chance to go out and make plays and win football games. It is a huge season for Josh Heupel. 2022 is huge, and you can say I can't put expectations on him. I can do whatever I want. I'm a fan. What I say about Josh Heupel has no impact on what goes on inside of that building. Those guys are putting in the work, but the pressure is there. And this season may be the biggest season of this rebuild. If they go out and lay an egg, they're going to have a whole handful going into the class of 24 and being able to build a solid recruiting class. I think they did a good job in 2022 based on the circumstances. They're doing a good job right now in the class of 23. They've got to add another one in 24. So I think what they do this fall may be the most important season of whether or not Josh Heupel is going to make it at Tennessee. You can agree, disagree, hit that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. This video went a little longer than normal, but that was a great article I saw floating around the internet, some great quotes from Josh Heupel, so I wanted to share all of that with you guys. Don't forget, going live on July the 4th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the Francis Mountain Goa commitment. Going to do a couple of live streams, two Wednesdays in the middle of July. I'll give you the exact dates. I can't remember. I don't have them in front of me. One of them we're going to be breaking down the offense. The next one we're going to be breaking down the defense. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do those first glance videos. First glance at Ball State, first glance at Pitt, and go through each team and kind of give us some content throughout July into August when fall camps gets geared up. But you guys know what to do. Smash the thumbs up. Go check out the merch. The links are in the description below. This is the Talkin' VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.